Good evening, you're watching the news from the CYBC in Nicosia. After almost 45 years of being closed and in what is being widely hailed as an auspicious event, the northern end of Nicosia's Ledra Street opened at 9:27 this morning, with the new crossing point further facilitating contact between the two communities on the island. Marking the occasion, short addresses were delivered by Presidential Commissioner George Iagovu, the Turkish Cypriot leader's advisor Ozdil Nami, and the mayors of Nicosia's free and occupied sectors Eleni Mavru and Cemal Bulutukulari, respectively. Greeting the opening were also the UN Secretary-General's acting special representative in Cyprus, Elizabeth Spear, an EU representative on behalf of Enlargement Commissioner Olli Rehn, and a spokesman for the United Nations Development Programme, with all Greek Cypriot, Turkish Cypriot and foreign describing today as historic and a step forward as regards efforts towards reunifying the island. At the same time, however, it was also stressed by all that the opening of the Long Road, or Maghrib-Romos, as the thoroughfare is known popularly on both sides of the buffer zone, is merely a symbolic act, which far from signifies a solution to the Cyprus problem. On a more general note, Cyprus's Presidential Commissioner pointed out today that one of the demands of the Greek Cypriot side is also the tearing down of the Limnidis roadblock, which directly affects the lives of a large number of Cypriot citizens, both Greek and Turkish Cypriot, adding that the matter will soon be introduced to the agenda of his talks with Ozdil Nami. Speaking to reporters after this morning's opening ceremony, George Iagovu was also asked whether or not any progress has been achieved as regards the agreed-upon technical committees and working groups, to which he conceded that the current week has not been very productive in this respect, with a scheduled meeting having been cancelled at his own request. Noting that the process found itself in a transitional period, given the assumption of duties by the UN Secretary-General's acting special representative, as well as the visit to the island by the international organization's Under-Secretary-General for Political Affairs, Cyprus's Presidential Commissioner closed by saying that every effort will be made to make up for lost time in order to resume work on the technical committees and working groups sometime next week. As for Turkish Cypriot leader Mehmet Ali Talat's advisor, Ozdil Nami described today as historic, given that we have stood witness to the removal of yet another obstacle towards the reunification of Cyprus. I believe, he went on to say, that the opening of Ledra Street is a symbolic step under the meaning that we've entered a new era, given that a new process has begun in a very positive climate. Ozdil Nami further mentioned that the opening of the thoroughfare was precisely the continuation of this positive climate, while on a personal note he said that to him it signifies that when Greek and Turkish Cypriots succeed in conquering their fears and begin building a climate of trust, they can overcome their long-standing disputes and disagreements. In closing, Mehmet Ali Talat's advisor also voiced the hope that the opening of Ledra Street will send out messages of hope for the resolution of disputes and conflicts throughout the world. The two mayors of Nicosia, meanwhile, both stressed the significance of the step forward taken, with Eleni Mavru in particular noting that this can only renew hopes that a lasting settlement can be achieved. Adding, however, that what she described as the wounded buildings on either side of the thoroughfare are a constant reminder that there's still a long way to go before peace prevails and the reunification of the island become reality. She closed her address, delivered in Greek, Turkish and English, by saying that what remains to be seen is whether or not this road will become a wide boulevard and help us reach a solution for all Cypriots. On his part, Cemal Bulutukulari said that both he and Mrs. Mavru had always believed that the thoroughfare could be opened, adding that contributing to the overall effort were also their predecessors. All this time, he concluded, the two city halls worked hand in hand, and today the opening of the thoroughfare reflects this work. On the government front, spokesman Stefanos Stefanou today said that the Republic greets the opening of the thoroughfare, which, as he noted, was achieved following actions undertaken and initiatives assumed without much beating of drums, but with both persistence and patience. Continuing, Stefanos Stefanou added that today's opening, and more generally the opening of roadblocks along the entire confrontation line, do not in any way constitute the solution of the Cyprus issue, even though though that of Ledra Street does send out the optimistic message that the two communities of the island can and should work together to achieve a solution leading to the termination of the de facto division of the island, the reunification of Cyprus and the justification of its people. In conclusion, the government spokesman added that the road towards this justification is long and difficult and will require hard effort, with the goal being the achievement of a just, under the circumstances, viable, functional and mutually acceptable solution within the framework of a bizonal bicommunal federation. Hope for the future as well as optimism, albeit reserved however, was also voiced by foreign emissaries to Cyprus, with statements conveying support and solidarity with the Cypriot people being extended by the UN Secretary-General's acting special representative and the local UNDP representative, Britain's High Commissioner and the Greek and Russian ambassadors to Nicosia, and a spokesman for the European Union's Commissioner for Enlargement. Not all was rosy this morning, however, with a minor incident leading to brief tension and protestations. Following the opening of the thoroughfare, a group of so-called Turkish Cypriot policemen were seen accompanying Cemal Bulutukulari towards the free areas, with Nicosia Police Chief Gibros Michailidis already at the newly opened checkpoint on the occasion, demanding that they turn back. With the incident considered closed, Chief Michailidis then lodged an official protest with UNFICYP as to why the so-called policemen were not prevented from approaching to begin with, while it was also requested that similar incidents not be repeated. Interest in today's opening wasn't only confined to the island, with TV crews from abroad also having arrived to cover the event. Live coverage was being carried by Euronews, which linked up with the area within the scope of its No Comment segment, and relayed the momentous occasion with the title The Opening of Ledra Street. In addition, the European Broadcasting Union, or EBU, is, as of this morning, offering to its subscriber channels footage not only of the opening itself, but also archive material relating to both Ledra Street and the surrounding area, as well as footage from 1974 comprising scenes from the Turkish invasion and of Greek Cypriots being taken prisoner, while it also features footage taken in later years of the mixed village of Bila. In general, international news on Cyprus were today marked by titles such as Ledra opens, a symbolic opening of the thoroughfare, Cypriots tear down the wall of division, and Cypriots begin to heal their wounds. Other news, and in its ongoing investigations into a number of drug-related cases, police overnight detained 2 more individuals and apprehended a third today, all of whom are reported to be involved in the cultivation of cannabis. Acting on information, drug squad personnel last night entered the Yermasoy apartment registered to a 35-year-old British Cypriot, in whose possession they found 10 grams of cannabis, with a search of the apartment also producing 1 cannabis plant, and a further search of the premises and one of the apartment building storage spaces coming up with another 13 cannabis plants, ranging in height from 1 metre and 15 centimetres to almost 2 metres. Also found